Hello, everyone. Welcome to this journey. If this is your first time here, then I recommend to start at episode 1, which is linked for you in the description box. And if it's not your first time, then welcome back. In this episode, I want to talk to you guys about the shape of life, or at least that's what I call it. Now, let me explain to you what I'm referring to. It's possible that you're going through life and it doesn't matter what age you are, but you look back at your life, at your lifespan so far, and at all the experiences you've had, small experiences, large experiences, and you might see it and view it as separate pieces that are just placed in the same pot, so to speak. What I can tell you, and this was my experience and maybe one of the biggest takeaways from the 4 years deep dive and the 4-year expedition, was that everything is connected. Literally, everything is connected. It doesn't matter how small the experience or how large the experience, how minor or how major, how short or how intense the experience is, everything is connected. For example, you might walk out of the supermarket and you might slightly twist your foot, nothing serious, but that could be related to something you experienced in your childhood. And throughout the day, you actually come to understand what that was about, because now you're really tuned in. And yes, I'm using that example because that's actually something I experienced. So, and when you're tuning in to life, when you're doing that deep dive that I did, you start becoming more and more aware of what you're experiencing, the signs and messages that reach you, all the messages that you receive when you meditate and you purposefully ask certain questions and answers reach you. And you start putting those pieces together. Now you could maybe say it's a puzzle. Those pieces belong to one puzzle and you can place those pieces together. Or maybe you like the symbology of a spider's web. So it's like a web. Everything is connected, all those individual threads. If you zoom in, you might just see one, but then you zoom out and you see that overall picture and the web. Or you use something that is more familiar to you. So whatever comes to your mind at this moment, then please use that image and that symbology of it, because it also has to resonate to you and your life. And ultimately, that picture and that symbology is something that you can use for yourself in your life, especially if you're at the point where you're doing a deep dive into all matters relating to your life. And so, if you ask the question, is that a good thing or a bad thing that all matters are related to each other? I would say it's neither. It just is. I wouldn't go about it and judge it at this point. I don't recommend doing that. I recommend to look at it with an open mind and use that tool as a way of understanding everything better. And that part is something I'm actually going to repeat. If you are at a phase in your life where you're doing a deep dive, where you are going into the depths of all your experiences, then use that tool, the view and the shape of life, to help you navigate those phases. Because if you would go about it and view everything as separate experiences that are not relating to one another, you will not really understand the messages there. It might take you a very long time to get to the bottom of something, to the root cause of something, or you might actually misunderstand the message behind an experience. So what I can tell you from these 4 years and that deep dive that I did, this takeaway and this knowledge and this understanding of the shape of life is something that made things much easier for me. What do I mean by that? Well, for example, I can imagine if I had not early on understood that everything is connected, it might have taken me much longer to navigate this phase. Maybe I would still be sitting in it and not have reached a certain conclusion of it all. Or I would have gotten lost. I would have gotten frustrated. I would not have understood the purpose of it all. But at least this is how it worked out for me. Seeing the shape of life, seeing how everything is connected, helped me to navigate things more smoothly. And ultimately, even if something was really not a nice experience, at the end of the day, when I understood it, when I saw it, when I healed it, released it, and it left my field, I had a certain sense of peace that I would not have had if I did not have the overview, the bird's eye perspective of how everything is connected, really. And when I say everything, do I mean everything as in this lifetime and other lifetimes? At this point, I want to leave you with an important side note. It's not so relevant and important for you to have the awareness of possible other lifetimes. It does not really matter that you believe in other lifetimes, because from my experience, everything repeats here anyways. If you have that access, if you have that knowledge yourself because you have that access, or you've done maybe a session with a psychic or someone who can reach those places, and you have received some pieces of the puzzle and you resonate with what they have given you, then great. Then you can use those and place it into that web or into that puzzle or whatever picture you've chosen for yourself. However, if you either don't believe in other lifetimes or you don't have access to other lifetimes and you don't even want to maybe go there, it's fine. So, as I mentioned, based on my experience, everything related to other lifetimes repeats here anyways. And oftentimes it repeats early on in our childhood or in our teenage years. And from there, we have access to it. If, however, you do want to take that picture and that symbology of the shape of life that you have chosen for yourself, and you do want to add layers to it. So let's say you want to now go into other dimensions and other densities and other lifetimes. You can take that picture and add layers to it. And through that view and that perspective, maybe you gain even further knowledge about experiences you're having in the here and in the now. And this is actually something I did during these 4 years. I mostly looked at what this life had in store for me. If, however, certain pieces of the puzzle reached me that related to possible other lifetimes, I first checked if I resonate with them or not, and if I did, I included them into the overall picture of my life experience. And so at this point, I would like to invite you to have a look at your life. Let's say you are experiencing something that you would like to solve and heal and release. Then I do recommend that you also look at it from a more broader perspective. If you can do so through a session, or you can meditate on it, or maybe information can reach you while you're sleeping. And that broader picture can help you go deeper and go further and look at where else there is a certain marker in time or incident that relates to it that can possibly even give you an important clue or even the missing link for you to round off a topic. And so that's it for now. Thank you for joining me. There's more to come. Stay tuned if you like.